Welcome to Revenue Mind, where revenue leaders get real about mental health. I'm Jolie. Stick around for honest stories, practical insights, and why well-being is the real bottom line. Let's dive in. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Revenue Mind, a podcast where revenue leaders talk all things mental health. I'm Jolie, your host, and with us is James. Welcome, James.
What's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, we have like a vibe. We have a vibe going. I'm very much enjoying it.
You know, not the first time that I've heard that. People will say that my energy is magnetic. And I think that as a sales professional, that can help you and exhaust you at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow. Like I just like want to steal, not like in a creepy way, but you know how in sci-fi movies you can like kind of like source energy. I kind of want to just like take a
Yeah.
little bit because I constantly need coffee.
So I'm a fan of coffee. I do a series called Coffee with James. We've done 50 episodes.
Love that.
They're just like little recordings. Sometimes I have a guest.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just me. And I just share a quick tip. But my energy is always highest in the mornings. So I'm on fire when I wake up.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. What time zone are you in?
I'm in Eastern Standard Time and I get up at 3 in the
Okay.
morning to go to the gym.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 a.m. Eastern?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop grilling you like that because I'm going to not have anything to say and be like, well, I'm a loser.
It's not that actually. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a couple of years
Oh,
ago. So I
wow.
went through like a whole life change and dropped like 70
Yeah.
pounds. And
Oh.
it was a big life shift.
Oh, congratulations. Good
Yeah,
for
thanks.
you.
You can say that you beat type 2 diabetes, but the truth
Mhm.
is once you're a type 2 diabetic, you're always a type 2 diabetic. You're just
Mhm.
managing it. So I do it with no medication, just managing it with
Oh.
my food and constant exercise. Constant exercise.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I've definitely had my struggles in that department.
Yeah, it's good though. We could probably get into this, but my
Yeah.
background suggested that I would have an addiction, and that addiction ended up going from hard dope to food, and that's what put me in that position. Plus, I'm in sales, remote, and I work at home, so like the sedentary lifestyle, sitting here 8 hours a day, you just have no activity. So like the whole lifestyle had to shift.
Oh, we'll get into it, all right. And I have I'm not gonna trauma match you like I did with another guest. I'm like, "Oh
Oh,
my
that's
god,
all
what
right.
am I
We
doing?"
can try. I assure you that you will not match my trauma.
No, I didn't I wasn't even trying to. I told the guest, I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of like when addicts get around each other." I just get this visual of, like, all of us sitting back with our cigarettes, like, "Yeah, I went to the mental hospital. Yeah, I went to, like, this. I
No,
went
that's
to that."
exactly what it's
It's
like.
just in my
That's no.
head. It's
So it might be in your head, but it's also in reality. I
okay,
will tell you,
cool.
as a former member of said kinds of groups, there are two major issues. One, it's war stories, and you get wrapped up in it,
Exactly,
right?
yes.
Two, you're literally meeting a lot of people that have all the connections that you don't need. And the third, and probably the more important one, is that you're coming
Interesting.
in there with problems and trying to solve them with this group, and you often inherit a lot of other people's problems. So there's this
That's a
like
good
give and
point.
take. Not saying these groups don't work. I think they're wildly effective for some people. They just weren't for me.
So you built a whole brand on say what and being the guy who's always on camera. Strip it all away, right? The host, the followers, the mic. Who are you
Yeah.
when nobody's watching?
Oh gosh, when nobody's watching, I'm a guy that watches the same movies over and over. I'm a guy that listens to music all the time. I tell people that if I had to choose between being blind and listening to and be going deaf, I'll be blind because if I can't hear music ever again in my life, just kill me now. I think movies and music and books are probably the three things that I do when nobody's watching. I'm a big book nerd, hence all the books around me. That's me. From a personality perspective, I'm a humor person. I like to make people laugh. I like to laugh. I'm a guy that makes a joke and then chuckles a little bit at my own joke. I don't do it for them. I do it for me. It's my life and it's on me, right? Like I want to make it fun for everybody because it's fun for me. So that's who I am, I think, when nobody's watching, and I'm not talking about me in a professional sense. My wife and I end up laughing at our own jokes because we think we're funny, and
Exactly.
that's what it's all about, right? Life is a big joke, and if you can't make light of bad situations, you're probably in the wrong game.
Oh yeah, seriously. No, especially with like I feel like there are certain experiences that we shouldn't joke about, But for the most part, I mean, do you think everything's off limits?
I think there are probably some things that I avoid. Typically, I avoid any race jokes. I avoid any political jokes. But that's not because I don't think those are funny. It's because I don't want to invite a problem. And you just in today's world, you never know how people are going to react. A lot of people are very sensitive, or so it has been explained to me. So I try I try really hard to limit the things that could come across to anybody as offensive. I might drop a couple of curse words here and there on the show. Even when I'm in like a public setting at like a party or something, I'll tell some jokes. It'll be fun, but none of them are going to be offensive. No one would ever come to me and be like, "You said that and it hurt my soul," right? Like that's not my aim ever. So I try to keep everything really lighthearted, and when things get serious, I'm often the person that brings it back to the lighthearted nature, and be like, "All right, let's get the music back going. Let's keep it going here. Have a good time. All right, let's everybody's having fun."
I'd love to if you're open to sharing it, I'd love to hear kind of about your journey. I know you're pretty open about addiction
Yeah.
and kinda like your steps there. If you're open to sharing that we
So I cut my teeth. I was a cook for many years. 15 years I was in the kitchen. So my wife's not welcome in my kitchen. She hasn't made a meal in 20 years. You wouldn't want it even if she did. It's been so long. Anyway, when I left the kitchen, I started in sales, but I did door to door. I did door to door, business to business, and door to door residential. Business to business side, I was doing phone lines for AT&T, and on the residential side, I was doing pest control. This was a blast for me. It was basically like walking around, knocking on doors, talking to people, meeting people. I have a big magnetic personality that works to my advantage in sales. So I used that very heavily everywhere I went. And I learned a lot of techniques. I call them tricks now, but they called them techniques at the time. But they're really tricky, right? Ways to get people to agree with you over and over so that they'll say yes. You can see that you're already shaking your head yes, Jolie, because I'm shaking my head as I speak. I call this the yes, yes. This is what it is, right? So you learn these types of connections and these types of techniques when you're in door to door sales. And then I went to college. I got a degree in writing communications. I sobered up. I was originally from Miami, Florida. I live in Tennessee now. So in 2006, I decided that I had had enough. I OD'd just about. I went to the hospital. The doctor, his words to me were, "Your heart is the size of an NFL football right now, and it's pushing on your rib cage. And at any moment, it could rupture, and you'd be dead in 8 seconds. And nobody in this building could save you." Right? And he has this X-ray up, and he's showing me this big mass in my chest. 2 days later, I had everything I owned on a truck, my family, my kids, everything, and we moved to Tennessee. Well, when you sober up and you realize that you're an unhappy person, you go through terrible divorces. And I have the crown for worst divorce in history. Feel free to accept my challenge, anyone out there that would like to talk about that. So, go through this terrible divorce, reinvent myself as a human being, sober. I go back to college. I get a degree. I meet a woman. We end up getting married. She has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. So we're like the Brady Bunch, right? Shared custody on both ends. We end up getting married. Here we are 20 years later together. In that time period, I started at Cirrus Insight, and I was an SDR. They handed me a laptop and a headset, and they were like, "Here, call these people, talk about this." Like that was the training, you know what I'm saying? Like you sit and you do the demos with the AE, and then they give you the stuff and they go, "Best of luck to you," right? So you go and you call because at the time that was like the number one channel was cold calling, and they put you in this dialer, and people, it's just you hear the boop, and then you talk. "Hi, can I speak with Raymond?" Right? And then I remember getting really good at this, and then I started with email, and then I started creating what is now known as Say What Sales. That's my personal brand. It's been a blast to rally to see the battle cry. My motto when I do the videos is, "If you're a salesperson, we're the same person," and that attracts a lot of salespeople in my direction when they hear that. Being a salesperson in the modern age is a tough job. Granted, we sit in air conditioned places and tap on our keyboards, right? Like, granted, it's not huffing concrete, it's not lifting heavy pipe, it's not working in the sun, but being told no 99 times a day, being ignored on a consistent basis is taxing on us, on our souls. We feel like we're spinning our wheels for no reason. We feel like we're running very quickly to nowhere. And this can be a very big challenge. What I found in all that how to do this, is that my past, everything I'd been through in my past, my addiction problem, my divorce, led me to this point. And that ability to like take that life experience and put it in front of other people who want to find quote success, whatever that looks like, that's how this whole thing was born for me. Because it looks different for everybody. I find myself to be very successful considering my gutter background, right? My very middle class, come from average beginnings background. I find myself successful. Other people look at me and say, well, he's not very successful. Other people look at me and say, that guy, I want to be just like him. We all have those people. We are those people for somebody. So that's my background is, from zero to hero, I guess, in like a few years and a lot of trauma and turmoil that would never have allowed a lot of people to get here. But I think resilience played a big role in it. So I lean on that very heavily. And I tell people that you got to be resilient in this world.
So for someone stepping into sales, let's say, forget what generation we're on. I know Gen Z is probably
Gen Z
getting
is
a little
right now entering the workforce, and that's
Yeah.
talking, I'll tell you, definitely a different world out there for the Gen Z employee.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I think millennials are the last resilient generation. I say that because Gen Xers were the last figure it out generation, right? They didn't have all the resources at their fingertips that the millennials ended up having as technology rose. Millennials are the last generation to remember a time without smart technology. Gen Z is the first generation to go through what's considered their formative years with basically computers in their pockets, right? They don't have to know the math. I'll just take a picture of that equation and look at ChatGPT. It'll do it for me, right? Oh, I don't have to learn to read. In fact, I don't even have to read to anyone myself. I'm never going to have to do that because there's going to be an app there to read to my children, right? There's 1,000 different things that our generations do that the new generation doesn't. But that's not really the problem. The problem is that Gen Z is the first generation ever in the history of education to not outperform its predecessor academically. When you look at an average high school graduate right now, fresh out of high school, maybe they're 19, hand them an index card that has a sentence on it that uses fifth grade vocabulary words. You'll be lucky if 6 out of 10 can read that index card. But these kids are doing different things. They've learned to make money online. They've learned that being an influencer is actually easier than people think. They've learned that they don't have to be a slave to the 9 to 5. They've learned that they can have jobs that fit their schedules and can work around their hobbies. And where the hell was that when millennials were coming into it, right? Gen Xers never even thought about that being a thing. Are you joking? 9 to 5, that's the grind. This is life, right? Gen Zers actually have it figured out. They're like, no, the job will never define me. It's never going to be who I am. Who I am is completely separate from what I do. Millennials are kind of mixed. We're like half and half. Some of us, I'd say the elder millennials, kind of fit that weird mold of like non-adopter. I'm a little bit hesitant about AI because I saw Terminator when I was a kid, right? There's like 1,000 things that millennials think about that kind of stuff. But the younger millennials, we are like adopters. We're the gamers of the world. We Super Nintendo'd our way through junior high and high school. So, that's very different. I feel like we're watching a separation happen generationally, and we're looking at it through the wrong lens. It's not a negative thing. It's actually a positive thing. We just got to figure out how to communicate with each other, because that's the thing that's dying. And you can see this every day in everyday activity. I talk about this regularly. Go to Walmart, stand in line. There, if you're lucky, there's a cashier and you're not ringing your own stuff up, right? But does that person on the other end of that cash register have an AirPod in one ear? When you speak to them, do they speak back, or do they look at you like you're an alien for asking how their day's going? Because that's the world we're breeding. And you might think, well, that's really shitty. Not for that Gen Zer, for that Gen Zer, they're crushing the game, working this job right now while they put together this thing on the side that nobody knows anything about that's going to make them famous and no one will see it coming.
That's yeah, no, I love the way that you laid that out. It's just so it's scary, man. I mean, it not scary. I mean, I always think of Skynet. That is very true. But I'm just like, I mean, I love AI, but also little freak. So I'm probably on that,
We fall
spectrum.
into
But
the trap. That's what happens. Is that
mhm.
is that we fall into the trap of what every generation says about the generation underneath them. I don't understand them. Right? Our parents said it about us. Their
Mhm.
parents said it about them,
Yep.
and we say it about our children. This is the circle of life that's happening right in front of us every day, and we want to look at it like it's a bad thing. Don't fall into the trap. Just because you see a Gen Zer out there and you said hello to them and they looked at you like you were an alien, don't think they're disconnected or odd, right? Like they're not. They're just a different generation. That it's our fault. We raised them to be who they are. So if you're going to look to be like, why is society the way it is? Right here, point at yourself because we did this. We built these kids. TV raised us, smartphones raised them. The difference is that TV isn't available 9 to 5 while we're at work. TV isn't available while we're at school. And now it's in our pocket 24/7.
Wow. Yeah, that's I guess I never really think about the generational differences. I always think about generational trauma, like what's being passed down from generation to generation. But I
Absolutely.
but that's a much more positive view. Not view, I'm sorry, take on it.
It can go either way. I wouldn't call it positive. I would call it easy to mold. Right? Your
I like that.
view impacts the way you see the next generation, just like their view impacts the way they see the older generations, right? Some kids look at baby boomers and Gen X and go, I want to learn from that person. They have a lot of knowledge that I could soak up and use in my life. Other Gen Zers and millennials look at boomers and Gen X and go, okay, boomer, in this disrespectful way, where it kind of puts them on their heels and they go, oh, you're one of those, right? And then they wonder why they have this like friction in office, right? Why we talk about, quote, working with difficult people. They're not difficult people. There's no such thing as difficult people. It's just that so many of us want to put labels on things and we want to call somebody something because they disagreed with something we said or their point of view is different from mine, right? So we cancel them. We say, oh, that person's just a boomer. Well, that's a really easy label to slap on someone. The next time you do something stupid and that boomer says, well, you're just a Gen Zer, you're going to know how that feels, right? It goes both ways, but we've lost that ability to respect one another from a generational perspective. Again, our fault.
Oh, I totally agree, and really appreciate you expanding on that. That's I'm just, like, kinda nodding, like, "Wow, that's really interesting." I love that perspective.
It irks me every day in one way or another. And I try really hard to be a communicator about it because I would hate it if one day there was a set of grandparents that literally could not hold a conversation with their grandchildren because the generational differences are that vast. And we're very quickly approaching that point.
Yeah, the I think what really resonated with me there is the communication, the gap in communication between generations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about this. One day, we will all be in our 80s and 90s at an old folks' home singing Cardi B. And our children will say, oh my gosh, this song is so old.
God, that's scary.
The problem that we have in the economy right now is that the economy can't sustain people living to be 100 plus years old. It wasn't designed for that.
Do you have a take on addiction through the generations, like, how that's evolved?
I would, I think so. First of all, addiction has taken on a lot of new forms since I was addicted to things. I grew up in Miami, Florida. I was addicted to coke. I did a little heroin. Anything on the table was, what's your drug of choice? Yes, right. I am ready to go. That was my drug of choice. Yes, sir. Let's make it happen. When I think about how it worked for me, removing myself from a scenario was the best decision for me. taking some distance between me and the environment that I was very comfortable and familiar in made it so that I had to get comfortable and familiar in a new environment without all of the vices that I had before. That made life really simple. Not every person, especially young people that live at home, can just pick up and move, right? Addiction, I think, is something that stage one, recognize that you have it, right? Stage two, take steps to try to solve that problem. Stage three, lean on your family. Your family often wants you to be healthy and happy. So those people are very important in your life. Stage four, adjust your environment, right? For me, that process was the best thing for me. But addiction is different for everybody. I've learned that my journey and my experience isn't applicable to lots of people. They're incapable of doing it themselves. They need a network of professionals to help them do it. Pragmatism is the thing to be focused on in the modern addiction world. There's a lot of ways around it too. There's mental shifts you can make. I remember I had a guy tell me that he has struggles with alcohol. I talk about sales mostly, but salespeople talk to me about their personal stuff. It's like part of who I am. They want to talk to me about it. How do I? Where do I? What do I? So this guy tells me that he's constantly being driven home by his wife after they go out because he gets too sloshed and she has to be the person that's responsible, and she gets mad at him and everything else, and he drinks handles of whiskey and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm a whiskey fan myself, but here's a tip. And this might be really bad advice for somebody out there. Keep in mind, I am not a addiction specialist. Standard disclaimer applies. Don't sue me if you do this and it goes south. What I told him that I did was that I started spending more on whiskey. I started buying $600 and $700 bottles of whiskey. When you spend that kind of money on special alcohol, I assure you, you do not want to drink it in a single shot. You want to spread it out over time and really enjoy it. This helped me to cut my drinking in half. Then later I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and I quit drinking altogether. And at this point, it's been 3 years since I've had a drink. Yeah. But,
Congratulations.
well, I can have a drink is the thing.
Gotcha.
It doesn't serve me on this journey I'm on now. And I think that with the right push, the right career, the right people around you, everyone that has an addiction could land in that bucket. But you have to make the choice. It's a choice every time. Whether or not you
Oh, for sure.
relapse, also a choice, right? When my dad died, I relapsed. And that was the best thing that could have happened to me because I realized then, what am I doing? This is not what I want. I don't want to be back in this circle. That's not for me. Right. And that was a big eye opener for me. I'd never touched it again after that. And it was a decision. And now I go home to Miami and it's around me. Doesn't bother me at all. People are like, oh, nope. Nothing. You guys go ahead. I'm good. Right. That's your life. That's your thing. I can't do that. That's going to put me in a bad spot. I can't do that. Right. If I'm out too late, I'm drinking with friends. I remember a couple of years back, probably like 5 years ago or so, I was out with very good friends. We were all bar hopping. And I remember getting back to the hotel and everybody was headed out to this concert that they were going to. And I told my boss at the time, I said, I can't be out there, man. I've gone too far already. I need to go back to the hotel. I'm getting into that dark place that I don't want to be. And I'm going to call it a night. He told me the next day, he was like, man, I really respected that. Right. That was a big adult decision right there. You know what it is to be 30 years old and having somebody else tell you that you just made an adult decision? Oh, thanks, man. Like,
Thank
but
you.
I counted that as a big win in my book because I resisted that temptation to go out and do the party thing. And then I also made a good decision for myself the following day. Everybody was all hungover the following day. Not me. I was ready. I was with breakfast. I was like ready to go, feeling good.
Your 3 a.m. gym workout session?
That's true. So for the last 3 years, I've been getting up at 3 a.m, going to the gym. I pump it for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I come home and I walk about 10 miles. It takes 3 hours to walk 10 miles, and you can at about a 2.7 mile per hour pace. That's what I walk at. I'm 6'2". I'm 250 right now. I started this journey at over 300 pounds.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We know there's a big movement for Ozempic and Zepbound and insert GLP-1 here. And I think it is very beneficial, but the fact that you're doing it, completely naturally is
I can't throw
is
any shade
amazing.
at the people that take that stuff, man. If I felt like it was something I wanted, I would do it. I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder when I was 4 years old in 1985. And if you grew up in the 80s, two things happened to you. One, you probably took something for ADD or ADHD. Two, you probably saw an ear, nose, and throat doctor because those things were huge in the 80s, right? Well, me, I got forced to take Ritalin from the age of 4 all the way up to 18. And I say 18 because the day I turned 18, I threw those pills in the trash and swore to my parents I would never take them again. And I never did. Instead, I harnessed this energy into what I do now, all the things that you see online, the show, the personal branding, the content creation, the way that I network. I have a wall of people that, we take selfies together when they meet me and stuff. That's my wall of why, right? And I look at that wall every day and it reminds me of the reason that I get up and sit at this chair every day and do this job. It's not because it makes me money. Sure, that's true. It's because I get a great deal of satisfaction out of helping other people find success because I was an unlikely success. And it changed my life when my perspective shifted. And I thank all the people around me that are most impactful for that. Your Morgan J. Ingrams, your John Barrows, your Chris Merrill, your Megan Brenner, these people shaped who I am today because they believed in me. So I now get to be the person that believes in others. And that's really nice.
Like you said, circle of life.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I always viewed it as more of a fence. I tell people this frequently. I sit on a fence, and on one side of the fence, there's all these people that want to be where I am. So I'm always reaching down to help them on my fence. And on the other side of the fence, there's all these people that are where I want to be. And I'm always reaching up so that they can help me on their fence. But I never let go of the people that are beneath me on this other fence. So I'm always winning and advancing, and I'm always taking people with me. And isn't that what we all want out of life? No one ever says no.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would say no to that.
Yeah, it's a feel
That's
good
amazing.
thing when somebody
Yeah.
comes to you and says, "Yo, that thing that you did for me changed my life." That's a great thing.
Yeah. No, I've had that happen. I got laid off, I think 3 times in a row during the tech recession,
Mhm.
and as I was kinda figuring out my stuff, I'm like a professional job hunter, just for many reasons I don't need to get into. Um,
For reasons that need not
permanent
be explained.
Yeah, yeah, permanent disability, almost there. Um, I joked about that the other day. The person was like, "Huh." So that's a lot to unpack. We're not gonna do that now.
I used to
Um,
be a job hopper as well, and it was
yeah,
it was me that was the problem. I used to tell people that you're the common denominator when you're a job hopper, right? And once I set some roots down and I stayed somewhere for 4 years, my career took off.
that's
Totally,
amazing.
totally changed my life.
I know that you've spoken about you've been friends with some creators for years that you never really considered your friends. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so I talk about this regularly because in the influencer world, we work with Sell Better is a daily sales show. Check us out, sellbetter.xyz, shameless plug. When we work with influencers, we build relationships. When we work with people that we're selling to, we build relationships. When we work with other creators, we build relationships, bridges between us and these people. These people are colleagues, they're peers, they're folks that know you. There is a huge difference between that and the word friend, right? Notice that when you work with somebody for years, you're close. When you create something, they like it, they engage in it, they leave thoughtful comments. But then they quit, they move on, they start a business themselves, they're no longer a part of that organization. What happens to that relationship? It vanishes, it disappears, as if these people never knew you. Do you know how hurtful that can be with the wrong mindset? So here's my mindset, and this is what I share with people. Don't take it personally. It's not personal. There are other things in these people's lives other than you. Your post about what you did Saturday night is not an important post for this human being that you expect to love all over you because you put a tweet out. Dude, spare me. That's not to say that these, I see you laughing your ass off. Because it's because you relate. That's why, right? We all have influencers that we have followed for years, supported for years, that we never see in our comment section. We never see them like our stuff. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. You don't need them to accept you. They are not your friends. You're not having beers with them at the end of the day. Okay? So I bring this up because there's a big comparison game that we play. We put something out there and we think it's a banger, but it gets no love. And then some absolute hottie puts out the same thing that you just put out, and it's billions of views, likes, comments. And we go, what's broken about me? That's what we think. We take it personally. It's not personal. And in the end, and I say this to salespeople all the time, those influencers, those bridges that you built, those companies that you closed, those signatures that you got, they're not going to be at your funeral, man. They're not following your caravan to the graveyard. That's not happening. So let that shit go. If you want to take it personally and you want to do something about it, have a conversation with that influencer. What's up, man? I support your stuff all the time, but I never see you in my comments. Why is that? If that's your aggressive way, I assure you that influencer will never engage with you. It's never going to happen for you. If you're smart, what you'll do is just stay loyal. Just be the person that you've been and don't worry about it. One day, that person might show up in your DMs. One day, that person might like, comment, and share one of your posts. And won't that make your day? Absolutely. And then you get to send this instead. Thank you. I've been a big fan for years. I'm honored that you found what I put out there insightful. And isn't that better? Doesn't that make you feel different? Of course. But we take it personally. Don't take it personally. It's not personal. And it's not about you. That post that you put out is like a blip on the screen in your life. It's not your world. This isn't OnlyFans.
You say, keep going, you're gonna make it, you're a very positive person on LinkedIn, but, like, on days that you don't believe it, do you still post it? Do you still encourage people even
That's
when
the
you don't
best
believe it
time to
yourself?
post it. That's the best time to post it. That's when you have to post it the most. Yeah. I first of all, I don't have very many days where I don't feel it, right? I wake up feeling that momentum, especially because I get up and I get going. I that physical movement for me has changed my life. Just I can't say enough about that. But realistically, I think that's when it's needed the most. And if you're a person that everyone looks to for positive and you have nothing positive to say, dude, take a day, right? Reset your brain. I live in the Smoky Mountains National Park in East Tennessee. So when I have a bad day or an off day, it's not uncommon for me to unplug and take some time. I walk a lot through the woods. I go out and I kayak sometimes on Saturdays. No phones, nothing, right? It will reset everything about your mind. Here's another thing. None of us get enough sleep. I find sometimes that I'll wake up and I don't feel it sometimes, occasionally. And if I have like an afternoon siesta for like an hour, if I just skip lunch and take a nap instead, I wake up feeling amazing when I wake up. It's an incredible thing what sleep can do for our brains and our hormones and our brain chemistry. Right? So like I tell people all the time, when you're feeling off, don't try to force it because your work takes a hit. If you write cold emails, you're going to write shitty messages in that moment. If you're doing social outreach, sending voice notes or something, you're going to stutter and stammer because you're not feeling it. If you're doing video, it's going to be 20 takes before you get this right. Right? It's a waste of time when you're forcing it. So when you feel it and ride the wave. But if you can't catch the wave, get out of the water for a while.
Dude, this has been legit. Thank you so much, James. So where can we find you? I know you're all over, but would love the shameless plugs.
Yeah, connect with me on. So don't connect with me on LinkedIn. I've hit that silly limit. So I'm at the 30K connections limit. Instead, follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Say What Sales. It's all one word. Say what? That's my personal brand. James Buckley, and obviously you could just Google James Say What Sales Buckley. The only content that comes up when you Google hashtag Say What Sales is my content. So if you're thinking about what your hashtag should be, make it something that when people Google it, you're the only thing that they see. Don't do like, something silly like let's get it, because you're gonna get tons of stuff with that.
I love how you ended with the shameless plug and advice. I mean, that's you're the best one of the best salespeople I've ever met,
You gotta
being
package it
able to
all
do
up
that.
together so people don't know. It's very hold on, it's very ninja.
That was very ninja, very stealth. Well, thank you so much, James. Really appreciate it. This has been
It was my
awesome.
pleasure.
That's a wrap for Revenue Mind, where we cut the BS and spotlight mental health and revenue leadership. I'm Jolie, reminding you your mindset is your competitive edge. Thanks for listening. See you next time.